here at God, Family, and Guns, we get a lot of comments on our spiritual content. And sometimes, not often, but occasionally we get comments on asking for more spiritual content or less spiritual content. And I want to take a moment to just share that the spiritual content that I put out on God, Family, and Guns is strictly driven by God. And with that being said, as I've gone through the End of Time series, and that has been really, for me, one of the most eye-opening experiences I've ever had, going through the Bible, going through verse by verse of Revelation, and I've been working on some other projects throughout there, but those have been my projects. The Revelation series, God said do that, and I said yes sir. Then he asked me to do the Malachi series, and specifically that was done because he had some things to say to the Christian church today, specifically. He had a lot to say, mostly bad. And as we went through the book of Malachi, that's what he chose as his path to do that. Not me just speak and tell you what I think about the Christian church, because I had a lot of bad experiences that I could definitely share, but mine are only locally and that kind of thing. But it was because it was his words. It was go through his words, the book of Malachi, verse by verse, and just apply it to the church today. But then we completed the book of Malachi, and I thought to myself, how could that be the end? Certainly that is not the end. There's a lot more to be said to the church. It's just, there is more to be said. And as I prayed over the last several months about that, because we finished the book of Malachi, I think about 2 months ago, what God has made clear to me is, as we continue to the book of Revelation, we're in chapter 16, I think episode 112. As we continue going through the book of Revelation verse by verse, what God has made clear to me is he wants me to start going through what Jesus Christ had to say about the end times. So this Sunday, we were doing Malachi on Sunday morning. I've been kind of mixing up Sunday morning quite a bit, but starting Sunday, every Sunday will be a new series called The End of the Age. And we will be going through Matthew 24 and 25. And ultimately what's taking place there is, as Jesus walks out of the temple and the disciples are showing it to him and bragging about how grand it is, he tells them that not one stone will stand of this temple. And then as he sits on the Mount of Olives, strangely where he's going to return to when his second coming comes, as he sits on the Mount of Olives, he privately gives a sermon on the end times to the disciples. And most of it is a criticism of the church and what the church will be looking like, often in the form of parables, what that church will look like when he comes back, warnings for us. And it's interesting, I think, to go through it as we go through Revelation, because it clearly spells out the same things we're talking about in Revelation. As we've been through going through the book of Revelation, we've referenced Matthew 24 and 25. Even as I went through the book of Malachi, I referenced 25 a lot, because it's a heavy criticism of the church, heavy and heavy consequences at his second coming. And the church, the bride of Christ, is just simply not ready. And I believe that's what God is asking me to do, is to continue to show the church, how it is whoring itself out, how it'll be, one of the virgins that doesn't have oil if it doesn't figure these things out. And that's what is so important about this new series is, yes, it'll give us more insight into the end times, but it'll also give us ideally some deep thought that could lead to some repentance in the Christian church in America. So there you go, starting Sunday, End of the Age. We're just going to start Matthew 24, verse 1. Join us, and just thank you for continuing to watch. I think this is going to be interesting to go through these two together. So if you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel through Patreon. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. Never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.